Shalom and welcome to the Baba Brief. I'm Joe, bringing you the stories that had Israelis talking this week. Just like Baba makes sure your Hebrew translations sound perfectly natural, we're breaking down Israeli news with that same local authenticity. So settle in and let's dive into Israel's top stories from the past week. Let's start with this week's major security and defense developments. This week marked a major shift in Israel's approach to the Gaza conflict. The Security Cabinet unanimously approved Operation Gideon's Chariots, a comprehensive military plan aimed at conclusively defeating Hamas and liberating all remaining hostages. The operation calls for the mobilization of tens of thousands of soldiers with a clear objective: systematically dismantling Hamas's military and governmental infrastructure once and for all. A key component involves relocating Gazan civilians away from combat zones, primarily to southern Gaza. This will minimize civilian casualties while giving our forces the freedom to operate effectively against terrorists who deliberately embed themselves within population centers. Unlike previous operations, this plan represents a fundamental strategic shift. Prime Minister Netanyahu emphasized that Israel will maintain control of conquered territories to prevent terrorism from resurging. This is not about conducting raids and retreating, he stated. The Gazan population will be moved for their protection, and we will hold territory. The plan also includes a meticulous humanitarian aid strategy designed to bypass Hamas's control, ensuring assistance reaches civilians directly rather than being diverted to terrorists. Our brave soldiers continue to operate with incredible courage across Gaza. In Rafah and along the Morag corridor, troops are systematically dismantling Hamas weaponry, eliminating terrorists, and destroying terror infrastructure. A significant achievement came with the arrest of a senior Hamas terrorist who participated in the October 7th massacre and was involved in holding Israeli hostages. Tragically, we must acknowledge the painful sacrifice of those defending our nation. 2 officers from the elite Yahalom Combat Engineering Unit were killed in action in Gaza, and another officer lost his life in an operational accident. May their memories be a blessing. Now, turning to developments beyond Gaza, let's look at how Israel is handling threats from other Iranian proxies in the region. On Sunday, Houthi terrorists in Yemen fired a missile that struck near Ben Gurion International Airport. Our military believes a technical malfunction in an interceptor missile allowed the Houthi projectile to penetrate Israeli airspace. However, our overall success rate in intercepting Houthi missiles remains above 95%. Israel's response was swift and powerful. Approximately 20 Israeli Air Force fighter jets conducted extensive airstrikes against dozens of Houthi targets in Yemen in an operation dubbed Port Cities. This decisive action signals Israel's absolute refusal to tolerate direct threats to our critical infrastructure and civilian population. The United States administration now reportedly understands and accepts Israel's more robust posture toward Houthi provocations. Meanwhile, the Houthis have declared their intention to impose a comprehensive air blockade on Israel by repeatedly targeting our airports, a threat we will not allow to materialize. On our northern border, our military successfully targeted a Hezbollah terrorist cell attempting to launch anti-tank missiles from Lebanese territory into the Haneda area. Several other launches from Lebanon were identified. Our forces consistently responded by striking Hezbollah military targets. In an innovative tactical move, Israeli drones dropped counterfeit currency in Lebanon. This served as a warning to citizens against accepting funds from Hezbollah. Our defense minister issued a stern warning to Tehran, declaring that the decisive actions Israel has taken in Beirut, Gaza, Damascus, and Yemen could be replicated in the Iranian capital if necessary. This unambiguous message reinforces Israel's readiness to escalate its responses if Iranian aggression continues. Moving from battlefield to politics, a major issue dominated the Knesset this week that could have significant implications for our military readiness. The Knesset's summer session opened this week against the backdrop of ongoing war. The issue of military conscription for the ultra-Orthodox community erupted into a major political crisis. Our chief of staff, citing urgent manpower needs driven by the war, ordered the military's personnel directorate to immediately prepare a plan to expand draft notices to eligible ultra-Orthodox young men. This directive aims to potentially enlist up to 80,000 new conscripts. It would address the military's reported shortfall of approximately 12,000 soldiers, including 7,000 combat troops. The ultra-Orthodox political parties United Torah Judaism and Shas reacted strongly. They threatened to boycott coalition votes unless legislation exempting yeshiva students from military service was advanced. United Torah Judaism had previously set the Shavuot holiday as a deadline for drafting such an exemption law. This situation places Prime Minister Netanyahu in a challenging position, balancing the military's critical operational needs with the coalition's stability. The principle that all sectors of society should contribute to national defense, especially during wartime, is increasingly resonating with the Israeli public, who are demanding more equitable burden sharing. On the international front, Israel received some significant diplomatic support this week from an unexpected source. In a significant diplomatic development, the European Parliament voted to freeze funding to the Palestinian Authority. This decision came due to ongoing concerns about incitement to violence and hatred within Palestinian Authority, educational materials, and textbooks. The parliament asserted that Palestinian children deserve a peace-based education rather than exposure to content glorifying violence. This measure was taken despite previous PA pledges to reform its curriculum, as new materials introduced in Gaza reportedly continue to urge violence. This decision validates Israel's long-standing concerns regarding Palestinian educational content and its impact on prospects for peace. The freezing of funds by a major international donor creates an opportunity for greater international accountability regarding Palestinian commitments. On the U.S. front, Ambassador Mike Huckabee held his first official meeting in Judea and Samaria with settler leaders, touring the ancient site of Shiloh. During the visit, Ambassador Huckabee praised Jewish settlers and invoked biblical claims to the land, marking a notable shift in American diplomatic practice regarding Israeli communities in these territories. Now, let's shift our focus to business and economic developments, where, despite the security challenges, Israeli companies continue to adapt and evolve. Teva Pharmaceutical Industries, one of Israel's largest multinational corporations, announced a significant strategic restructuring plan. This includes reducing its global workforce by approximately 3,000 employees over the next 18 to 24 months. Around 300 job cuts could potentially affect operations in Israel. This restructuring is part of the CEO's pivot to growth strategy. It aims to transform Teva into a leading biopharmaceutical company with a stronger focus on innovative medicines rather than relying predominantly on its traditional generics business. The plan is projected to achieve net savings of approximately $700 million by 2027. Despite ongoing security challenges, the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange showed positive trends this week, with the banking index notably reaching an all-time high. The Israeli shekel experienced some fluctuations but stabilized following announcements from the U.S. Federal Reserve. In other corporate news, a major Israeli holding company went public with assets valued at 7.27 billion shekels. This initial public offering during a period of war and economic uncertainty suggests confidence in the stability and growth prospects of the Israeli economy. In domestic affairs, there was a welcome resolution to a dispute that had been disrupting our education system. A disruptive teacher strike that began earlier this week concluded yesterday with an agreement between the Ministry of Finance and the Israel Teachers Union. Under the terms of the agreement, salary deductions for teachers were significantly reduced from the initially proposed 3.3% to 0.95%, and a contentious clause that would have halted rank promotions was removed. The resolution averts further disruption to Israel's education system during this critical time. However, some teachers are reportedly shifting to a go-slow approach, adhering strictly to their formal job descriptions and refraining from voluntary activities. Let's now look at some exciting developments in Israel's high-tech sector, which continues to thrive even in challenging times. Israel's technology sector continues to demonstrate impressive resilience and innovation. A promising cybersecurity startup founded by former executives from Check Point successfully secured $60 million in funding this week. The round was led by international investors with notable participation from strategic partners including IBM, Microsoft, and several venture capital firms. The cybersecurity company specializes in enterprise application security. They focus exclusively on the most critical risks during application development and deployment. The company serves over 200 customers, primarily in the finance and technology industries. They report an annual sales run rate of $10 million. This significant investment underscores the enduring strength and global appeal of Israel's cybersecurity sector, highlighting robust investor confidence in Israeli technological innovation even during challenging times. In a related development, the Knesset is taking proactive steps to address the integration of artificial intelligence in the medical field, with parliamentary members calling for formal regulation of medical AI. Key concerns include ensuring patient safety, safeguarding data privacy, mitigating algorithmic bias, and establishing clear accountability. Finally, let's turn to some important developments in healthcare and medical research that could benefit Israelis and people worldwide. Israeli media reported promising results from a broad clinical trial of Moderna's new combined mRNA vaccine, targeting both COVID-19 and influenza. The trial indicated that this combination vaccine produced a higher immune response compared to separate vaccines for each virus. This development represents a potentially significant advancement in public health, offering the convenience of a single injection, providing dual protection against two major respiratory illnesses. On the mental health front, new research has quantified the prevalence of post-traumatic stress disorder among our soldiers. Reports indicate that 12% of combatants involved in the current conflict are suffering from post-traumatic symptoms. This research is critically important for understanding the psychological impact of prolonged military service and developing adequate support systems for affected service members. The public reporting of these figures during an ongoing conflict signifies a growing willingness to openly address the mental health consequences of war. In a positive development for family caregivers, a new lobby has been launched within the Knesset to provide greater support and recognition for individuals caring for family members who are ill, elderly, or disabled. As we conclude our news roundup for this week, Israel continues to demonstrate remarkable resilience and determination in the face of persistent challenges. The approval of Operation Gideon's Chariots signals our nation's unwavering commitment to defeating terrorism and ensuring long-term security for our citizens. On multiple fronts, military, diplomatic, economic, and technological, Israel is taking proactive measures to shape its destiny rather than merely reacting to events. The strength of our defense forces, the innovation of our tech sector, and the cohesion of our society all point to a nation that refuses to be deterred by adversity. As we head into Shabbat, let's take a moment to appreciate the sacrifices made by our soldiers and their families, and to reaffirm our commitment to building a secure and prosperous future for the State of Israel. And that's our wrap for this week. I'm Joe, and this has been the Baba Brief. If you enjoyed our take, share it with friends, staying connected to Israel. Make sure to download our app on iOS and Android. Baba understands gender and plurality in Hebrew, making your translation sound natural in any context. Join us next Friday morning for another episode. Shalom for now.